Hi guys, I hope you're all keeping well and safe. Welcome to Early Years Matters TV. On this channel, we focus on everything early childhood related. And if these are the kind of videos you're looking for, what you have to do is subscribe. And not just subscribe, turn on that notification bell so that whenever a new video is being dropped on this channel, you'll be the first person to be notified. Today, I'm going to be talking about play and diversity in the early years. Yes, today's discussion is going to be all about how to promote diversity through play. I'm sure you're aware that in the era of early childhood, children learn through play. Everything you're going to be doing as an early childhood educator have to be done through play. So because it is through play that children learn. So now let's talk about diversity. What is diversity? Diversity is all about acknowledging differences. Yes, it's all about acknowledging that differences exist. And it's not just all about acknowledging that these differences exist, it's all about celebrating, appreciating, embracing these differences. So now that you know what play and diversity is all about in the early childhood, now let's talk about how you as the early childhood educator can promote diversity through play. In relation to promoting diversity through play in your early childhood classroom, it starts by acknowledging the children in your early childhood classroom, acknowledging their differences, acknowledging their strengths, acknowledging their needs. When you do this, you're definitely promoting diversity. So for instance, if you have 10 children in your early childhood classroom, so you need to identify, not just identify, you need to acknowledge their strengths, their needs, their differences. And you need to do this through play. So I'll cite an instance. For instance, if children learn through different means. For some children, they are visual learners. They learn when they see images. For some children, they are auditory learners. They learn when they listen to audio. For some children, they learn through active learning and through exploration. To identify the children in your early childhood classroom. So how did this group of children learn? So now that you've identified this, you need to incorporate it through what you do in your early childhood classroom, through play. You need to be able to promote this through play. So for instance, if you identify that some of the children in your early childhood classroom, they love to learn through visual image. So in what you do in your early childhood classroom, you're going to be incorporating visuals. So whatever you're doing through play, you're incorporating visuals because this is how the children learn. So for some of the children that are in your early childhood classroom that are auditory learners, so this through listening to music, through listening to sound. So it's all about acknowledging differences, but you're doing it through play. You're doing it through the means of learning in their early childhood. How you can promote diversity in your early childhood classroom is through the room layout. Yes. So in relation to the room layout in your early childhood classroom, you need to lay the room in such a way that in your early childhood classroom, you'll be able to navigate. So you're taking into consideration, for instance, if you have a child on a wheelchair, so in relation to laying your room, you need to ensure that this child has access to the room. The child can easily move around. So this is what embracing diversity through play is all about. So you're ensuring that the early childhood classroom is accessible for all, not just some. This is what diversity is all about. You need to ensure that your early childhood classroom is accessible for all the children. So if you have 10 children, and this doesn't come naturally, this comes with a lot of plan. This is where planning is really important in the era of early childhood. So you've 10 children in your early childhood classroom, you take into consideration, their strengths, what are their needs. So you incorporate this through your layout of the early childhood classroom. So you ensure that the classroom is easily accessible for the children. For instance, the book corner, how would you lay the book that the children can easily reach out for these books, that they are not struggling, they are not calling your names, because it's all about empowering the children. So to promoting diversity in your early childhood classroom, you do this through your room layout. Ensure that the room is easily accessible for the children. So another way you could also promote diversity through play in your early childhood classroom is through the material and resources. So ensure that the materials in your early childhood classroom promote diversity. For instance, the book, for instance, the paint, the color, ensure that all of this promotes diversity. Let the children see that diversity exists. And bear in mind, you need to do this through play. So these are just some of the ways you could do this through play, through the materials and the resources that you provide for the children. So definitely the children will be able to see that differences exist. For instance, we provide the children with different paints. So they look at this different paint. It's different. So they know that, yes, this is how they start to learn about diversity. For instance, through the doll as well, you have the doll that represents different background. You take into consideration children that English is not their first language. You take into consideration children in your early childhood classroom that have additional needs. So all of this has to do with planning in relation to the materials, in relation to the resources that you provide for the children. So you're thinking outside the box. You're thinking about diversity through play in your early childhood classroom, taking into consideration the children that you have in your early childhood classroom. Taking note of some of the ways you can promote diversity in your early childhood classroom. And if you want more of this video in this channel, subscribe, and not just subscribe, turn on that notification bell so that whenever a new video is being dropped on this channel, you'll be the first person to be notified.